You're watching News Central now on News Central Television, and I am Osarogie Ogbonmwan. President Tinubu is scheduled to meet labor leaders on Thursday to discuss the new minimum wage issues. And also, Nigeria's government repatriates 190 of its citizens from the United Arab Emirates. Also this morning, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame extends his 24-year rule with crushing election victory. We'll also be sharing with you the new minimum wage. Of course, like I mentioned, President Tinubu is set to meet labor leaders on Thursday. We'll begin, of course, going straight into that story where the president is set to meet with organized labor leaders to discuss a new minimum wage for Nigerian workers. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, stated that the Federal Executive Council discussed the new minimum wage on Monday. According to the minister, Tinubu will finalize his decision after consulting labor leaders on Thursday and will then send it to the National Assembly. He adds that the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Atiku Bagudu, has been directed to propose an amendment to the 2024 Appropriation Act. Last Thursday, President Tinubu met with the NLC President Joe Ajero and the TUC President Festus Osifo. The president urged realistic expectations regarding the minimum wage, considering proposals of 62,000 naira from the government and private sector and 250,000 naira from labor. The current minimum wage is 30,000 naira. Now, still talking labor, we head to Abia State, where organized labor in the state says it has relaxed the proposed industrial action scheduled to commence on Monday, the 15th of July 2024, following a memorandum of understanding it signed with the state government. The state leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress reached an agreement to shelve the proposed strike while government begins implementation of some of their demands. News Central's Chinwe Ugele reports.
Had planned to embark on an indefinite industrial action from the 15th of July 2024 if government failed to heed to calls to meet the demands of Abia State workers. Part of the demands bordered on old salaries, gratuities, wrong implementation of payment of minimum wage, and non-payment of wage award. The NLC chairman in the state, Ogbonmwan Okoro, in an exclusive interview said government has also issued directives to relevant officers concerning the payment of severance allowances.
He directed the Accountant General and the Head of Service and the Commissioner for Information and for Finance to liaise with the labor to sort it out within 7 days.
On payment of all outstanding salaries of teachers and workers in departments and agencies from previous government, Okoro said governor has promised to send a virement to the state legislature to make it possible to clear the arrears in batches.
Give a immediate order for them to pay. He asked the Accountant General to pay immediately.
The Commissioner for Information, Kano, explained it more.
Excellency, the legislature duly informed them that the state did not receive any wage award from the federal government. However, because of the governor's commitments to workers' welfare, he accepted to pay Abia workers a wage award of 45,000 in total. That's at 15,000 per month over a cost.
Some of the citizens hailed the understanding between both parties, while others disagree with the development.
It's good that they suspended it because I don't think Nigeria will develop embarking on a series of strike. Because even for someone that owns a private business, you don't progress in that business by always going off from your business.
The way you see things now, I don't know. If you decide to stay or to listen to them, maybe they won't take the action. But through that strike, they will know what to do.
The organized labor in the state will have to watch the government to see the process of implementation of the agreements reached. In Omaha for News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
Thanks to Chinwe Ugele for that report. The federal government has repatriated 190 Nigerians from the United Arab Emirates. In a statement signed by the Director, North Central Zone, Alhaji Bashir Idris Gaja, on behalf of the DG NEMA, Zubaida Umar, he said the returnees arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, at about 5:45 a.m. local time on Tuesday. He adds that they were received by a team of government officials led by the National Emergency Management Agency. The returnees were profiled and documented by relevant agencies and advised to conduct themselves with decorum and responsibility. The government urged all Nigerians to act as exemplary ambassadors, upholding the values of patriotism, rule of law, decency, and integrity. Still in the news, let's talk health matters now. Governor Abiodun Oyebanji of Ekiti State, MDCN Registrar Fatima Akiari, University of Ibadan Vice Chancellor Professor Kayode Adebowale, and the College of Medicine Provost Professor Olayinka Omigbodu have urged new doctors to stay in Nigeria and contribute to the health sector. Speaking at the induction ceremony for the 2024 MBBS and BDS graduates at the University of Ibadan, they emphasized repaying the country's investment in their training by applying their skills locally. The 147 new graduates dubbed the Lotus 2024 include 122 MBBS and 22 BDS doctors. Governor Oyebanji, whose daughter Toluwanimi was among the inductees, encouraged the graduates to support Nigerian healthcare instead of seeking opportunities abroad. Let's now head to the courts as we understand that the Kano State High Court has issued a restraining order against the Emir of Kano, Aminu Adobayero, and 4 other emirs from Rano, Gaya, Bichi, and Karaye, preventing them from parading themselves as emirs. Delivering the judgment on Monday, Justice Amina Adamu Aliyu further restrained the 15th Emir of Kano and 4 other dethroned emirs, servants, privies, and any other appointed persons appointed by them. The case was filed by the Attorney General of Kano State, the Speaker, and the Kano State House of Assembly, represented by Counsel Ibrahim Issa Wangida, on May 27th. Justice Adamu Aliyu affirmed the legislative powers of the Kano State House of Assembly and the authority of the state governor to assent to the bill. The court ordered the emirs to surrender all properties of the Kano State Emirate Council to the state government and criticized the conduct of the police and security agencies involved. Earlier, Abdul Latif Abubakar, JOS editor-in-chief of Soleil's-based online newspaper, spoke to us on this development.
This afternoon, we're so surprised even as journalists because the case was initially slated for July 18th, not even today. Because at the last adjourned date, what the judge said was they were supposed to be in court on 18th of July for issues to be for issues to be addressed that has to do with several applications. For instance, there is a joinder application that is supposed to be examined. There is an application for the judge herself to recluse herself from the case. There's an originating summon, and there's a motion for setting aside the initial ex parte order. But it was so surprising this afternoon that when the court settled down for the business of the day, it was a judgment that came up, not even all those issues that were discussed all along. For those applications. And at the same time, the judge during the session, strike out any of those applications.
And now to discuss the possibilities of brain drain and the encouragement by the governor of Ekiti State, Governor Oyebanji, to, of course, medical doctors to stay in the country. We're joined this morning by public affairs analyst Jide Ojo. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Good morning.
Good to have you.
How is Lagos?
Lagos is fantastic. Now, given the well-documented issue of, the doctor brain drain in Nigeria, aside, words of encouragement, what specific initiatives or improvements in the healthcare do you think will be more persuasive in encouraging these newly inducted doctors and maybe even the older ones to stay and practice in Nigeria?
The pathway to retaining health practitioners, doctors, nurses, and allied workers in the medical field, the pathway to retaining them is very clear. You need to incentivize them. They have consistently made it abundantly clear that their salaries and allowances are not competitive even in compared to other African countries. Not even talking about Europe or America or the Middle East. And in as far as we continue to pay these doctors peanuts, they will continue to emigrate. And that is not even the only reason. Look at tell me one center of excellence that we have in terms of healthcare delivery in Nigeria. Not even the Abuja National Hospital. Our leaders don't even believe in our healthcare system. Our presidents have always traveled to Europe or America or Saudi Arabia for their Medicare. It shows lack of trust in the medical field in Nigeria. And because we have refused to do the needful. If you look at UCH, University College Hospital Ibadan, that was the prime healthcare institutions between the 1960s and 1990s. So much so that other African countries, citizens from there comes to Ibadan for their Medicare. Today, UCH is a shadow of itself. UCH early this year was the light of the electricity supply to UCH was disconnected because they were owing close to 500 million naira on electricity bill. It is that bad. How can you work in an environment where there are no equipment, where the equipment is obsolete, where it is archaic, where doctors are on call 24/7, they don't even earn very good allowances, and they spend 7 years after their university education, they go for 1 year housemanship, they still go for youth service before they can practice. So when you don't have the enabling environment, you don't expect them to stay. Moreover, what about insecurity? We have had situations where bandits will kidnap doctors and nurses and take them inside the bush over, to be attending to their victims, as doctors inside the bush. So these are some of the things that needs to be looked into. We need to guarantee safety and security of these doctors, whether they are young or old. We need to provide the enabling environment. It's not enough to just engage in rhetorics. Oh, government is doing enough. Government is doing well. Government is trying its best. The government's best is not good enough.
All right, Ms. Ojo.
If it is good enough, we should have had the president of Nigeria, assessing their own Medicare within the country. Only former President Olusegun Obasanjo ever visited National Hospital for his Medicare. And he's the only one in 8 years that didn't even travel out on medical tourism. All the other presidents are about to go abroad.
I don't remember if Goodluck Jonathan also did a lot of medical tourism, but that's a different conversation. What I want to ask is, the governor of Ekiti State, Abiodun Ibanji, of course, who is encouraging these doctors to stay back and work for the country and all that. Can we say that he's not aware of the reasons that doctors are leaving? Or is there a way to guilt trip these persons to stay back and, just manage the conditions that doctors have to deal with here? Bear in mind that it's not just doctors, it's every type of healthcare worker in the country and Nigerians generally.
Well, it's not as if Governor Ibanji is not aware. He's just being patriotic. He's just appealing to the sentiments of the emotions and the psychology of these doctors, that they should help. Because in truth, let's look at the other side of the divide. How much does doctors in Nigeria pay for tuition to graduate from start to finish? They pay next to nothing because their study is highly subsidized. If you compare what a medical doctor in Nigeria pays all through his schooling or our schooling years in Nigeria, and what a medical student will pay in UK, you will find that the difference is like sleep and death. Because in UK, by the time you pay like £15,000 per session, just convert that to Naira. But here in Nigeria, a medical student, even in private university, they pay 2 million, 3 million, you know. And when you compare that over 5 years period, there is still under 20 million Naira that you pay to graduate. And I'm talking of private institutions. In government-owned universities, they pay next to nothing. Tuition is almost free, and then save for buying textbooks and all of that. So when you look at the highly subsidized education that they enjoy in Nigeria, it is good and proper and fit and proper for them to make sacrifice to stay back and give back to Nigerian society. But we must make the situation livable for them. You cannot ride the willing horse to death. You cannot say because their education is subsidized, then they should come the answer. The other day, one of the medical students in the Lagos hospital died because she was trapped in the elevator in Lagos State. I know you know about it. A young lady who was trapped in an elevator and died. You know, that kind of medical negligence, you see a lot of that. And so what needs to be done is not just to continue to engage in platitudes. What Governor Yebanji is trying to do is just platitudes, appealing to emotions, oh, do this, do that. But, I mean, the truth that has to be said is that these people went to school for a reason. They also want better life for themselves. How could you have a doctor as a child and you cannot feed well as a parent, and your son cannot have a vehicle to convey him to and from work, does not live in a decent environment, they cannot afford the basic things of life? That is anathema. You know, it's like you have to strike a balance. Government needs to look into the welfare and security of these medical practitioners so that we can incentivize them to stay back and contribute to the economic development of Nigeria.
Oh, well, only time will tell. Thank you very much for stopping by and for sharing your thoughts with us on this very important topic.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
Moving away from talking healthcare, in the meantime, stakeholders have called for the protection of women and girls who have been at the receiving end of violent and armed conflicts. This was as they converged at the nation's capital, Abuja, for a review by the National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies of the impact women can make when integrated into peace-building efforts in their communities. Marvelous Ogbonmwan tells us more.
According to the Global Terrorism Index, Nigeria ranks number 3 among countries heavily impacted by violent conflicts in Africa and number 6 in the world. This puts women and girls in conflict-prone areas susceptible to the attacks by violent non-state actors.
Nigeria has one of the worst statistics when it comes to women representation in governance and decision-making. I think the moderator elaborated more on that. So UN Women is working with critical stakeholders to see how we can change the narrative to have more inclusivity and more women represented in decision-making positions.
As we all know, there have been increase and unprecedented rise in violent conflict in our country. Going by the Global Terrorism Index 2022, our country ranks third in the list of countries most impacted by terrorism in sub-Saharan Africa, and is the 6th most impacted country in the world.
In a bid to address this challenge, stakeholders converged on the nation's capital, Abuja, at the instance of National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies to review the role women and girls can play in peace-building efforts in their communities.
If you want development in any country, you have to use the talents in those countries. And 50% of the talents in any country are women.
Women's participation in leadership roles enhances long-term economic, environmental, and social outcomes and strengthens institutions of the society.
They say with women inclusion at all levels, peace can be achieved. Some of them also called for an increase in the number of women in the parliament, saying they can help champion the rights of women, placing their issues on the front burner.
Only 20 or 19 women are in the National Assembly. And with that number, I don't think we can make any impact without actually you people coming in to support us.
Since I've come into Parliament in 2007, there has been a decreasing number of women in the Parliament.
The stakeholders also urge women to be more accommodating and partner with other women to help achieve their objective.
The men are fighting for us, but some of us women are the ones not even allowing fellow women to come up. So, if you find yourself in any position that you need to bring others, make sure that you carry them along too.
But you must demonstrate capacity. And I assure you that in the Senate, I'm a member of the Senate Committee on Women Affairs. We're waiting for your bill. We'll support this bill because it's a godly bill.
With the promise of special seats for women now being championed by members of parliament, the issue of women inclusion might soon be a thing of the past. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Ogbonmwan.
Thanks to Marvelous Ogbonmwan for that report. Now to politics. The national leader of the new Nigeria People's Party has dismissed any chance of a merger with other political parties in the build-up to the 2027 general elections. He accused the ruling All Progressives Congress and the opposition People's Democratic Party of failing to meet the yearnings of citizens in the last 25 years. Again, Marvelous Ogbonmwan tells us more.
Political calculations, mergers, and re-strategizing for the 2027 elections have begun, with political parties already making their moves. The national leader of the new Nigeria People's Party, while expressing optimism of the NNPP's chances ahead of the general elections coming up in 2027, says that the party is confident of victory and is not interested in merging with any other political party.
All what I know, we are not in discussion with any party or any individual. What I know now is we are building our party at all levels, and it's getting stronger and stronger by the day. So we are very much encouraged. We are so happy that we have got a party today that is growing more than any other party in this country.
The stage is being set for this party to grow, to expand, and capture power at the center come 2027.
Recently, the new Nigeria People's Party changed its flag, logo, and constitution on the basis that the old one posed a challenge for its supporters during the 2023 elections.
Our experience in the last general elections, when the old logo with its many colors posed a great challenge in the production of the ballot papers, gave us a clear indication that for the party, going forward, there was an urgent need to do something about the logo especially.
We are very happy, we are so happy that we now have new color, which is very conspicuous, which by the end of the day will be very clear on any ballot paper.
This is the letter from INEC about our new constitution, our new logo, our new slogan. Everything about NNPP is here in this letter.
The image on the old logo has now been changed from a basket full of fruits to a book with a graduation cap. The NNPP says that the image is in line with the objective, which is offering Nigerians sustainable education that will boost development.
Our priority has always been and will continue to be number one education. Number 2, education. Number 3, education.
With a new party logo, flag, and constitution, it is obvious NNPP is repositioning itself for 2027 election. The national leader of the party has made it emphatically clear that NNPP is not considering any merger with any other political party. He used the opportunity to call on other members of the party to come together, jettison the challenges of 2023 election, and then build alliances and reposition itself to win the 2027 election. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Ogbonmwan.
And from Abuja now to Oyo State, where its governor, Seyi Makinde, says his government will not allow the people of the state to suffer from the fallout of the Supreme Court judgment on local government autonomy. The governor on Monday set up 2 committees saddled with the responsibilities of reviewing the Supreme Court judgment on local government autonomy and coming up with recommendations that will ensure the change does not affect the people of the state negatively. Makinde maintained that the judgment has created a constitutional lacuna that will throw up different challenges at the local government level. He said he convened a meeting of all relevant stakeholders in the local government system so that they could outline the major challenges at the councils and develop solutions that will ensure a seamless implementation of the process.
On May 29, 2019, I dissolved the local government. The Supreme Court just basically said to us that, look, governors don't have right to dissolve those local councils. But why did I dissolve the local council then? It was because elections were held into the LCDAs. And the same Supreme Court has basically now said only 774 local governments in Nigeria. So there's confusion in the land. And when you have confusion, what it means is the structure is shaking. So you have to remove as much of this confusion as possible.
From Oyo State, let's move to Edo State, where a civil society organization in Edo has accused some personnel of the Nigerian Navy of taking sides in a dispute between a private citizen, Paul Audu, and the Christ Embassy Church in Asese community in Edo State. The dispute, which was recently resolved by a court in the state, which mandated the removal of a perimeter fence obstructing the access road to the private property of Audu, which was put up by the church group during a press conference in Benin City, the Edo State capital, condemned video evidence obtained where naval personnel were seen threatening to shoot staff of the demolition company tasked to carry out the court's orders.
Christ Embassy allegedly employed the services of some armed naval officers and policemen to obstruct the enforcement of a valid court order, which ordered the removal of a perimeter fence obstructing access road to the property of one Mr. Paul.
And now to Delta State, the governor, Sheriff Oborewuri, on Monday charged newly elected chairmen and vice chairmen of the 25 local governments in the state to embark on viable infrastructural projects and ensure modesty, fiscal discipline, prudent management, judicious allocation of resources, and excellent service delivery. The governor gave the charge while swearing in the newly elected chairman and vice chairman of the 25 local government areas in Asaba, the state capital. Governor Oborewuri, who reiterated the state government does not tamper with local government funds, said he welcomed the Supreme Court's ruling on local government autonomy, emphasizing that statutory allocations to local governments in the state for the last 3 months remained intact.
Statutory allocations for the last 3 months are intact. Therefore, the Supreme Court judgment on financial autonomy for local government council is a welcome development. Actually, Delta State has never tampered with local government funds. Rather, the state government has often had to augment the allocations to the local government council to enable them meet their financial obligations. You know, this is a huge burden. This burden has been taken away from us. So we are very happy, very, very happy. Aside from usual allocations, I expect you to improve on your internal generated revenue and ensure it forms a sizable chunk of your revenue. However,
and still in the news, the Lagos State government has signed a partnership agreement with CIG Motors Company Limited, which will see the state add to the existing 1,000 vehicles currently used by, or rather for, the e-hailing cab business known as Lag Ride. This new addition is expected to further improve the road transportation system in the state, especially with the inclusion of electronic vehicles as part of the fleet. News Central's Bernard Akede tells us more.
In a bid to improve road transportation experience in Lagos State, the state government, through Ibile Holdings, which is an investment arm of Lagos State, has signed a partnership agreement with CIG Motors Company Limited. The partnership will see the acquisition of 5,000 new vehicles for the Lag Ride e-hailing cab project. However, worthy of note is that 1,000 of the 5,000 new cars will be purely electric vehicles.
One of the key beneficiaries of this partnership is the significant contribution of the reduction of greenhouse gas emission through the introduction of the electric vehicles. This move not only promotes environmental sustainability, but also positions Lagos as a leader in green transportation initiative.
This partnership would have a great economic and social impact on Lagosians through an additional job creation through direct employment in driving, maintenance, and administration roles. It will boost the local economy with increased accessibility, thereby improving the transportation system. It will enhance transportation infrastructure in Lagos and improve public transport modal options.
The chairman CEO of CIG Motors, as well as the Consul General of the People's Republic of China in Lagos, both spoke about how this partnership will further strengthen the ties between China and Nigeria.
We want to make this project contribute at least 1% GDP for the President Tinubu's mission, 1 trillion. In the next 3 to 5 years, we are targeting to embark over 1 million brand new cars driving on this platform.
After their speeches, it was the turn of the state governor to give his remark on the project ahead, after which the dotted lines were signed.
Phase 1 of it will first to see a 2,000 coming, and in that 2,000 we'll be having electric vehicles. That has been a conversation, and also CNG vehicles. These will begin to change the carbon footprint that we've all been talking about as in the future of transportation, as in the future of energy transition, the future of climate change, and so we don't want to take the back seat.
When all the talk was over, the governor tested his driving skills in one of the vehicles while conducting an inspection.
The importance that have two significant points. Number one, that it strengthen the PPP partnership really effective and also bring the real project to African country.
The first set of vehicles is expected to arrive in the country by the end of 2024. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
The Sector Skills Council for Building in Nigeria has announced plans to initiate a program aimed at promoting apprenticeships, certifying and licensing skilled individuals in the informal building sector. This was announced during a press briefing in Abuja, the nation's capital, in commemoration of the 2024 World Skills Day. Our correspondent, Joshua Imarai, has the report.
In commemoration of this year's World Skills Day, the Sector Skills Council for Building in Nigeria has announced plans to launch a certification and licensing program to promote apprenticeship and skill set in the informal sector. The president of the council, while making this known in a press briefing in Abuja, urged governments at all levels to collaborate and provide the necessary support for the implementation of the initiative.
We have initiated programs to promote apprenticeship, certification,
and licensing initiatives in the informal sector, alongside implementing the recognition of prior learning. We hereby call upon the federal government and subnational governments, that's the states and the local authorities, to collaborate with us in providing the necessary support for the implementation of the recognition of prior learning initiative.
The president says that the training initiative will provide certification for individuals and offer an invaluable opportunity to boost the capacity of workers in the informal sector, enhancing their overall competence and proficiency.
Now, RPL is said to be recognition of prior learning, so we can bring you in and say, what do you know about this skill? We test you, so we know your competence, then we know what you need to advance. And then we can recognize that which you know and give you a certification at that level. That certification captures you into the economy. Now, if anybody now wants to engage you, you can say, this is my level.
He expressed optimism that the initiative will facilitate the development of out-of-school training, equipping young Nigerians with relevant skills that can help them contribute to the nation's development. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
Welcome back, and now to other parts of the continent. In East Africa, a second batch of Kenyan police left Nairobi for Haiti to help fight gangs that had almost overrun the Caribbean nation. A team of 200 well-trained officers left Nairobi on Monday night aboard a United Nations chartered flight and is scheduled to arrive in Port-au-Prince on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Kenyan time. The outgoing Deputy Inspector General of Administration of Police, the coordinator of the Multinational Security Support Mission in Haiti, Nor Gabo, and the acting DIG, James Kamau, were present to see off the team. MSS is an international police force approved by the United Nations Security Council on the 2nd of October 2023 to assist the government of Haiti in restoring law and order amid worsening civil strife and gang violence since 2018. And staying in the region, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has scored a crushing election victory that will extend his iron-fisted rule by another 5 years, according to partial results released on Monday. The National Election Commission made this known after 79% of ballots had been counted, that de facto leader since the end of the 1994 genocide and president since 2000, Kagame, scored 99.15% of the vote. This tops the 98.79% Kagame won in the last election in 2017 and puts him streets ahead of the only two candidates authorized to run against him. Democratic Green Party candidate Frank Habineza scrapped 0.53% of the vote and independent Philip Mpayimana 0.32%. And now to parts of the world. Former President Donald Trump has been formally nominated to head the Republican presidential ticket in November. This comes less than 48 hours after a gunman shot at Donald Trump during a Pennsylvania rally, a bullet grazing the former president and killing a spectator. Trump also announced his running mate on Truth Social on Monday, tapping the Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as his vice presidential pick. Vance, who once called himself an anti-Trump Republican, has since become a fervent supporter of the former president. And hundreds of protesters in the southern province of Diwania in Iraq are protesting power cuts and water shortages during the extreme heat of summer. Decades of war have left the country's infrastructure in a pitiful state, with power cuts worsening the blistering summer when temperatures often reach 50 degrees Celsius, mostly in southern provinces. Dozens of villages in Diwania have also suffered for years from water shortages because of a 4-year-long drought and reduced river flows. Recall that last week hundreds of people also protested outside electricity department offices in Gamas district, blocking roads and burning tires. Now let's join our business desk for today.
On business news, Nigeria's Minister of State for Agriculture, Aliyu Abdullahi, has assured Nigerians that the federal government is working to address the high cost of food prices in the country. The minister, who stated this on Monday, said, according to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's food inflation rate stood alarmingly high at 40.1% in March 2024, pushing the prices of essential commodities beyond the reach of millions of Nigerians, but assured citizens that the government is addressing the situation. This is at the backdrop of the latest inflation figures revealed by the NBS in its document titled CPI and Inflation Report June 2024, showing that inflation rate has increased from 33.95% in May 2024 to 34.19% in June 2024. Nigerian banks have generated approximately 30 trillion naira in new loans and support for the private sector over a one-year period, demonstrating their pivotal role in the country's economic renewal efforts. According to Kodros Securities' weekly economic and market report, recent data from the Central Bank of Nigeria shows that credit to the private sector increased by 65.9% or 29.52 trillion naira, reaching 74.31 trillion naira in May 2024, compared to 44.79 trillion naira in the same period of 2023. This significant growth in lending and support showed the robust balance sheets of Nigerian banks and their responsiveness to the CBN's directive for increased lending to stimulate economic activity.
And now to some sports news. At least 22 players of Nigerian Premier League club Kwara United Football Club have been laid off ahead of the 2024-2025 season. The general manager of the club, Bashir Badawi, disclosed that 23 top stars from the league have been recruited to fortify the club. He added that top quality players have agreed to join the team, including Abayomi Samuel from 3SC, Jimmy Iteji from Plateau United, top-class goal stoppers, Nigeria team under-17, under-20, under-23, and Chan Eagles players, including Kazim Badmus and Adamu Abubakar, as well as Ifeanyi Ogba from NPFL champions Rangers International. He called on the players to shun indiscipline and work in line with the philosophy of the club and target ending the next season among the top three. Also in sports, in preparation for the Olympic Games, Super Falcons have lined up in an international friendly against their counterparts from Canada. Super Falcons under coach Randy Waldrum have been in closed camp in Seville, Spain ahead of the Olympics. The Nigerian Football Federation made it known that Falcons would clash with Canada behind closed doors on the 17th of July. Falcons and Canada clashed at the last FIFA World Cup in Australia and New Zealand, and it ended 1-1. And also in sports, African Football Governing Body has sent out a message to all participating clubs in the Champions League and Confederations Cup who do not have an approved stadium. The Confederation of African Football last week released the list of the stadiums approved to host the upcoming Champions League and Confederations Cup, and no Nigerian clubs have approved venues. The football body said all teams without an approved stadium must communicate their adopted venue for CAF, or to CAF rather, on or before July 22nd. The body further stated that failure to do so means CAF will schedule the game for any stadium of its choice. Rangers International and Remo Stars will play in the Champions League, while Aimba International and El Kanemi Warriors will contend in the Confederations Cup. And that's all at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. President Tinubu is scheduled to meet labor leaders on Thursday to discuss new minimum wage issues. And also, Nigerian government repatriates 190 of its citizens from the United Arab Emirates. Rwanda's President Paul Kagame extends his 24-year rule with crushing election victory. Remember to send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on your screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, StarTimes channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Osarogie Ogbonmwan.